Brian and
I use your thing all the time about being 7 feet. I do. It's so true, although I should be 8.
Okay, good morning. This is the Sunset Advisory Commission meeting on July 18th, 2022. It's the first meeting of the off session for the committee. And I think the first order of business is to review the chart and identify which boards and commissions we want to review this year.
Yep, and I think to look at just go through kind of what we did before and what might have been added this year. And just so I don't know, Jen, if you know everybody here, so we should just introduce ourselves. I'm Jeanette.
John Gannon.
Robert Clare from Berrytown.
I'm Matt Kraus. I'm from Stowe, and I'm one of the gubernatorial appointees.
Brian Collmore from
And Jen.
Thank you. And I'm Jen Carby. I'm the Director and Chief Counsel of the Office of Legislative Counsel.
But thank you. So do we want to look at kind of where we are?
Well, it's broken down at the back
Yeah.
of what we repealed.
Well, there are some in here that are Commission on International Trade.
Yeah, but it breaks it down by year at the end.
Oh, okay. I must admit, I looked at this, but my computer didn't like the big screen and I couldn't print it out because my printer doesn't take this size paper. Where does it?
Well, where's it, at the very end, it has the ones we repealed or merged or changed by year.
Oh, I see.
Just,
Mention the number, so we
It's on the very back. Keep going now.
keep going.
yeah, it's at the very,
There you go. Over to the right.
it starts at 309.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So should we just, I don't know that we need to walk through the ones that we've already repealed. Right?
No, I was just
Okay.
pointing them out.
Yep, good. So, Jen, do you want to, should we walk through what was added this year so we get a sense of that before we start?
Sure.
Yes, and I'm having trouble finding things on the chart. Oh, but I did bring the act that you passed this year. So I can tell you based on that. So Act 134 of this past year was an act relating to boards and commissions. Let's see if I can find on here to point you to the chart because I know it's been updated. But there. So in Act 134 of this year, the General Assembly repealed the Vermont Educational Health Benefits Commission, which had been originally enacted in 2017. The Study Committee on Sales and Use Tax enacted in 2012. The Committee on Enhancing Vermont Software and Information Technology also enacted in 2012. The Youth in Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Food Production Consortium, which was in the Department of Labor Advisory Council, the Working Group on State Workforce Development, the Vermont Criminal Justice Council Advisory Committee. It's in the Act Advisory Committee, but it's the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee. There was a lot of change to an existing commission and some provisions related to per diems going forward.
So did we add in other pieces of legislation, did we add boards and commissions? Do we have a list of those yet?
That is a great question. I may have to phone a friend on that one.
Okay.
I think they're in the inventory, but they're not all in one place. You can see Like, for example, the first one I just came across is 56, which is the Department of Corrections Monitoring Commission. It was created by Act 56 of 2021. Well, that's 2 years ago.
So, I understand that, John. For me, it's kind of important to know. Excuse me, folks.
Motion.
Sorry. Both the number and what they are at some point. I know that, I understand what you're saying, they're not grouped together.
I just showed you the number,
56.
56.
So I think that I think that it would just be interesting to have a list of them, but I don't know that, for me, I'm less worried about the number of boards and commissions we have, if they make sense. And, we might have 5 or we might have 500, but so I'm less concerned about the number. And I think if we just established them last year, we probably won't be reviewing them this year because they wouldn't even have started until July 1st. But it would just be good to have a list of, just so that we knew what they were.
Yes, and I have found a number of them, I think, starting around number 166, opioid settlement advisory committee was added. You can see comments and added.
Oh, yeah. They're highlighted in yellow.
Oh, I see, yep. Oh,
All those that were.
Yeah, and
okay.
if there was a change in 2022, it's highlighted in yellow as well. So for example, the Emergency Service Provider Wellness Commission, which is 68, well, it was already in existence. Its membership was amended in 2022.
Exactly.
Yeah, oh, okay, so the ones that were in existence are marked in yellow on the right hand and the new ones are yellow on the left.
Yeah.
Got it.
Or if there's another change, like for example, some per diems have changed, so that'll be
Yeah.
highlighted
In the middle.
in the middle.
Okay, well, that's easy enough then.
So it looks like that any changes that were made are highlighted in yellow.
And it's
Yeah. Very perceptive.
You're gonna miss me.
Oh, the Artificial Intelligence Advisory Council. Yeah, but so we have a list now. We know what was added. I do think that we probably won't put those on our list to review this year since they probably, none of them have even been constituted yet. Or some of them may have been.
I'm counting about 4 of them, maybe 5.
So 241, the Sunset Advisory Commission. That's us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It says max 5 per year as opposed to 5. I got it.
Yes, but you are scheduled, this commission is scheduled for repeal in January
Okay, yep.
for your enabling legislation.
so,
Okay, so should we, where did we leave off?
well, it's actually where we left off is all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
But
did.
I've been going through it as we've been sitting here and just highlighting which ones we have not reviewed. I mean, it's pretty clear. It'll say SA SAC review, and then usually there's a recommended status. So you just have to go to the ones where we have decided not to do anything.
Says maintain, right?
Well, some of them say maintain,
Yeah, but that means.
and then
yeah,
we've already reviewed
it.
those, yeah.
Right.
So let me just quickly. Oh, we probably want to deal with it. Oh, it's just crazy.
All right. Well, the other thing, while John is doing that, the other thing I think we need to do today is look at what passed in the act around per diems, because that was changed from what we had suggested. And it seems to me Well, I'd be interested to hear what it does because if I remember it, in the end, it became this very complicated system and I don't know where it came from. We just accepted it when it came to us.
Yeah.
I think appropriations had a lot of
Right.
input into how that per diem changed.
Okay, so we should review that and have a discussion on that because it seems to me that that was a pretty bizarre change.
They just wanted more reporting and documentation, basically, of proposed changes. But we should review it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Okay.
the big part was we kicked it to the administration to come up with the proposed per diem rates.
Well, we did and we didn't. I went into Senator Probst
Okay?
to explain the bill. And the way we originally laid it out was that the administration would be responsible for determining what per diems would change and in what manner they would.
The agencies would build into their base budgets, right? Okay?
But Senator Probst didn't think that was a great idea because it would be in effect before anybody ever took a look at it except the administration. So they sent it back and said before anything could take place, there had to be a review. And I think it's this group, the Sunset Advisory Commission, would have to review it. Someone has to review it first before it can take effect, if that's what I remember.
So
That was a change. I didn't-
Yeah, that is, and that, we need to look at that because if this commission goes away in January, it's going to be a little awkward to.
Right, it doesn't, it actually is, goes to House and Senate appropriations. Somewhere there's the first report, I think, may also involve GovOps.
So maybe it wasn't this group then.
But we should, that is something that we need to go through and figure out what stand we want to take on it.
Yeah.
So I'm still a little bit confused, and let me just see if I understand this. We recommended to the administration and the legislature that they build it into, that the, any per diem was built into their, an agency or department's budget. The Senate appropriations said, no, we don't like that. And somebody, if it's not us, has to create it first before they can.
Yeah, let's look at the language and see what it actually says, because I think that the way we intended it was that the administration would put it into their budget. As part of the budget, it wouldn't go into effect until the budget went into effect. So I don't quite understand the appropriations
I was just gonna say
committee, because,
I may have not said that.
but I think you're right, because they wanted some review of it beforehand, and the appropriations committees would have to
The budgets.
approve the budgets. So they're already having so anyway,
That was always my understanding.
Yeah.
The intent of the check and balance is that, the administrations go through, come back with their recommendations, and then the agency can have oversight over these particular boards and commissions. But the final say would be the budget approval.
Right.
Process.
yeah. So Jen, do you want to go through the language there and tell us what we actually passed?
Makes sense to try to put it up on this for you all to be able to see. We just walk through.
Sure, it might be better than us looking at ourselves.
I'm thinking maybe I will join the Zoom.
Well, I don't know.
On my screen.
Although Rob really likes looking at himself, so.
We'll get back as soon as we're done.
Strike the pose.
It's got 3 screens to choose from.
I know, this is very fancy.
Talented and hardworking. Inexpensive.
I will tell you some of the things I was so angry at your committee. I know. Not at all of your committee. Okay.
Go abroad yet?
Huh?
Did you go abroad yet? No. That's
Thursday,
Where are you going?
Tuscany.
training?
No, I can see it on,
Are you in training to,
I don't need training.
because I'm screen sharing.
they can't keep up with you?
Oh,
I think I can intimidate them. When it comes to sports.
There it is.
oh, there it is, excellent.
Well, you put a little time and effort into it.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are in, just to be clear, we're in Act 134 of 2022, and this is in Section 8. This is the amendment of 32 VSA Section 1010, which will be familiar to many of you. And so the first thing this does is to strike the specific $50 per diem entitlement for members of the listed boards and commissions, and then there's the catch-all for them later. So it takes out the 50, it just says they're entitled to receive per diem compensation. And then it's adding members of the parole board as well, who've been treated separately in the existing law. And then again, it takes out the specific reference to receiving $50 in per diem for each day devoted to official duties, because it gets into more detail a little later on. So then it defines per diem. That itself does not change. Doesn't change the language on expenses either. But here where we have in existing subsection E, that the governor may authorize per diem compensation and expense reimbursement for members of boards and commissions created by executive order, which also gets addressed again later. This instead says that per diem compensation authorized under this section for members of boards, commissions, councils, and committees, and all other management, policymaking, or advisory bodies, including temporary study commissions of the executive branch, whether appointed by the governor or not, shall not be less than $50 per day and shall be approved pursuant to this section. So it's setting $50 as the floor and not the default amount. And then it requires that the annual budget report that the governor submits to the legislature must contain a separate schedule by entity that provides the per diem compensation rate established for the current fiscal year and the per diem rate proposed for the next fiscal year of any per diem that will be increased from its current fiscal year rate. That's what the current amount is and any proposed change from that, increase from that. The schedule must also provide by entity the total per diem amounts paid and expenses reimbursed for all members of the entity in the most recently ended fiscal year. Before submitting the schedule, directs the governor to consult with each elective officer or state officer who administers per diems that come from a source other than the general fund.
So can I stop for just a second? Now, am I reading that correctly, that, so the administration is now, when they do their budget, they're now going to include that in the per diem in there? That's the way I read that. Is that correct?
Yep.
Right, so at this point, this is information. It's a schedule that sets out the current per diems and any proposed increases. And because ultimately that will be, I think, a legislative decision about whether those per diems or whether the money will be appropriated to increase those.
And the total amount paid, because you could have a per diem of $100 a day for 7 committee members, but only 2 of them take the per diem. So you also want the total amount paid by the entity.
Right, and it also lets you know how many times, if they're meeting
Right.
very frequently, there would be a very high number in that amount.
Yep, yep.
In addition, in subdivision 2, this requires that the agencies and departments in the annual budget documentation that they submit to the appropriations committees, the agencies and departments that administer the funds for these boards, commissions, councils, committees, and other management, policymaking, or advisory bodies, including temporary study commissions, provide a list of those entities and the current and projected per diem rate and expense reimbursement for each entity. And this requires the agency or department to include in this annual budget documentation a justification for any current or projected per diem rate that's greater than $50, including the justification for authorizing a per diem rate of greater than $50 for a board, commission, council, or committee created by executive order.
So Jen, can I ask a question? What's the difference between the first one and the second one? Because it's the agencies and departments that are going to be submitting their budget to the governor's budget. And so the governor has to do for the overall budget, and then the agencies and departments have to repeat the same thing in their budget?
I think part of the difference between the two is the justification piece. So the governor is providing the numbers. The agency is providing the justification.
Okay,
And this language was added by appropriations.
And I'm not sure anyone in this room was involved in that language, so.
Yeah.
it seems complicated to me, but
I think there is it seems like there is some overlap. I think
Yeah.
there may be some distinctions and there may be different pieces of information they were hoping to get from the different provisions. But we may want to consult with them to find out
yeah.
what their thought process is.
Is this information required for every preceding budget or just this one where the changes are contemplating being made?
This is talking about annual budget report and annual budget documentation.
I have to say that concerns me, that level of detail and that much work and effort to go into that thing. That was never really, at least my understanding or the intent of it as far as I'm concerned, but
I think you would only have to submit that if you were changing
Right.
That's what I
something.
thought too.
Well, a lot of this is the current and projected. And then the justification is for anything greater than $50.
Right,
So they don't have to justify everything every year. They have to justify.
but they shouldn't have, well, we can address that because I think that is a little bit of overkill. If you change it to $75 this year, then why do you have to justify it again next year and do all that work next year? Because,
I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that
God,
falling into that.
yeah,
Yes, and I do think that what Senator White is describing is included. So that's the justification for any current or projected greater than
Yeah.
$50. So I think your example of increasing it to 75 and then doing that justification again, I think you're right. The language would require that justification to be
Yeah.
provided. It could be the same justification, but it does.
okay, got it. Okay,
Worded again. So then this strikes out the specific $100 per diem for members of the parole board. So they're falling in with the rest of the boards and commissions.
So if I was on the parole board now, I've just taken a $50 cut?
Not necessarily, they will just, if they keep you at $100, would need to provide that justification
Okay.
under subdivision E2. Then it also allows the governor to authorize per diem compensation and expense reimbursement in accordance with this section for the boards, commissions, et cetera, created by executive order. That part is consistent with current law. And then it specifies that the per diems and expense reimbursement authorized under this subsection will be effective as of the effective date of the executive order, but must be subsequently reviewed and approved under that approval process during the next budgetary cycle. And then section 9, I'm going to show you because it's relevant here. This says that for FY24, the FY24 annual budget report of the governor and the agencies and departments FY24 budget documentation must include the documentation and information required in section 8 around the current and proposed per diem rates for boards, commissions, councils, and committees. That's important because the rest of the provisions in section 8 don't take effect until July 1st, 2023. So fiscal year 2024 will be the budget that you're looking at, as what the legislature is looking at next year. So the information would be provided, need to be provided, but the underlying provisions don't take effect. The $50 change, for example, doesn't take effect until 2023. And then also of note to this committee is that this committee or commission is required to submit a report to the Appropriations and Government Operations Committees by December 1st of 2023 with a recommendation on whether to establish a maximum per diem rate for boards, commissions, councils, or committees, and any legislative actions necessary to increase uniformity and equality of per diem rates across state government.
wait, what was that last one? Increase,
Uniformity and equality.
that's what we're trying to get away from. Anyway,
And that's important not only because it's a duty of this committee, but this committee itself sunsets in January of 2023. So presumably you'd need to have that report in well in advance.
I I don't think we put in that language.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Came on of Senator Probst.
Yeah. Well, I think we might want to have somebody from Approps come in and just walk us through this and what their thinking was, because I think Rob had a good, I mean, that's silly to do it every single year if it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's no change.
yeah.
Well, and it sort of defeats the purpose in this particular language here, as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
too.
I'd just like to hear the rationale. I mean, for me, I'd like to hear, how did you come by this position? How do you, what's the rationale, et cetera? So,
Yeah, we'll have them, yeah, we'll have them come in
They're
and,
already existing. You mean the boards and commissions, you mean?
no, the appropriations committee, how they came up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's very interesting to increase uniformity and equality of per diems, because that's exactly what we were trying to get away from.
Already had that.
Equality, I mean.
We had equality.
Equity, but not uniformity, because we had uniformity. We could just leave it that way then. $50 a day. I mean,
Well, that's what that whole section basically says, just establish a maximum per diem rate, which is sort of what went away from.
yeah. And- Yeah,
I don't think they got what we were trying to do.
no, I don't think they did either. So we should have somebody, do you think this came from Senate approps or House?
That had to come from Senate, because this is the first time that we never saw that language in this committee. Did we? Did I recall?
I don't believe we did, but we would have had a concur.
We were,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think we didn't look at it very closely because it was the end of the session and,
Because that was one of those,
Get the bill
that got moved kind of late in the session, too, if I
Yeah.
remember right, so.
It did.
Yeah.
so, okay, so we'll have somebody
Verbatim.
come in and explain it to us.
Is there anything else you want to say in this language, or should I take it down?
I'm fine.
Me too.
So it wasn't the House that made,
My apologies, because I blamed him this morning for screwing it up.
No, House Appropriations did make changes. I mean, I think they put in more detail around the reporting by the governor and the agencies.
So both appropriations committees are to blame.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know they both tinkered with the
Okay.
bill.
Well,
but I still accept your apology.
Brian did a superb job of defending our position in appropriations, but, when you go to, I don't know how it is when you go to your appropriations committee. When you go to ours, they have this little chair that sits about 4 inches off the floor. So you sit like this, you feel like a supplicant.
And for those of us that are last to know it's raining, even on an average day, it really is. So basically, my face was above it.
Yes. It's,
I'll have to remember that line, last to know it's raining.
it's a terrifying
It is.
experience.
I have another question. We are going to go through the yellow ones where changes were made. Are we going to run through those quickly? Because there's one that I have a particular, or should I just raise?
Well, let's just look at the ones in yellow on the left are the ones that we added this year,
Right.
right? So did you have a question about one of them?
Well, actually, I have one that says per diems and it's in yellow. And I'm curious,
What number?
Which one?
192. The Natural Resources Board, as everybody knows. I serve on the as the chair, and so it says chair salary, and I assume that's the Natural Resources Board chair. Then it says board members, which I assume are the Natural Resource Board members.
Yeah.
And then it says district commissions. So the piece I'm really concerned about is, was action taken on the DM for the district commissions? Because I need to tell my folks, the individuals, if in fact changes have been made.
I'm going off the memory on this one here, but
I don't,
seems to me that there was some clarification on the fact that you as the chair, if you had members that were doing work outside of the meeting, meeting preparation, that the per diem will apply then, but I remember that being
You
part of the
could make the
conversation.
decision as the
Right.
chair.
What is that? Are you looking that language up, Jen?
Well, excuse me, I'm trying to see if there were any changes made
That
to
says,
any of the statutes cited there.
And it's important
But yes, I can look up
to
the,
know if if a chair has been given authority to do something.
I
I need to know.
almost, and again, I'm going back from Matt, I almost think, Matt, you've always had that authority, but it seems like that there was some clarity.
I think it was inconsistently applied.
oh,
Not everybody was aware that the chair had the ability to authorize per diems for work outside of meetings.
Okay, and I wasn't aware of that either, so,
So there was an inconsistency of practice.
okay. All right, it was always it always existed, but in the application of that, there was some inconsistencies. Clarified or defined that it's uniform and,
When we talked about it, I don't know if we,
let me look, it looks like this is one of these has been amended, that 32 VSA 1.
and I'm sorry, I just.
Has been amended
you know,
several times in the last
I have it or not.
2 years, so let's see.
we're going to do more significant changes to that whole section of law, but they did not get through.
Oh, that's what, it's the annual salary statute. So every time the salaries were changed in the appropriations act, section changed.
I'm sorry to take the whole
oh, that's okay.
commission's time, but that one has some particular interest to me, and I don't want to go back and have commission members say to me, I want to be paid for something, and I say, well, we're not going to pay you. And that's just part of the job.
While Jen is looking that up, maybe we can just quickly run through the ones that were established this year, the Artificial Intelligence Advisory Council. I'm starting at the very beginning with the yellow
Yep.
ones on the side.
All right. Sorry, hold on.
That came out of our committee, and what committee was Lucy Rogers on?
Energy and technology.
Energy and Technology. So it came out of those two committees.
Okay, thank you.
And then the task force to revitalize the Vermont dairy industry. And that probably came out of ag.
Yeah, all that does is extend an existing group for another year, I think.
Okay.
Yep, that's what the notes say.
Yep, yep. And we didn't add any more until,
Yeah, we were pretty good.
we were.
66.
I think we were that good.
Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee.
I think that was a new one,
That was because of the
opioid
money
settlement money.
that came in, yeah. State Youth Council. Did you take testimony on that one? Did-
Yes.
is that- Yeah. we-
Yeah, that came out of GovOps.
Yeah. Alzheimer's disease. And working group, oh, I don't even remember that one, on services for individuals with eating disorders.
Nor do I.
Must have come out of health and welfare. But those two, Alzheimer's and the eating disorders, sound like they're just working groups, that they're not, that they have a
Yeah.
limited time, right?
Do we know if all of these has sunsets in them?
Well, those two probably do, but they sunset after 5 years now anyway, unless they're reviewed, right?
Okay,
We passed
Well,
that.
they become ripe for your review.
Right.
They don't actually get repealed unless you take legislative action.
Right.
How about 170 and 5? Are those just,
Is that all we added? I don't,
I think so.
and then the wellness, the EMS wellness group, that just added one member,
There's a couple
Truth and Records, 246, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
reconciliation.
Yeah. Yep. That's huge.
oh, and Burlington International Airport.
Oh, let's do both of those and review both of those. That'll be so much fun and we'll get in so much trouble.
Okay, all right, all right,
Should end that one.
see, for a timer.
I'm good.
Awesome.
yeah. I'm not coming back.
So we added just about the same number that we repealed.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Some of them are working groups, and that, the airport one is really important.
Because I think not this session, but the session before, I think we actually went backwards, meaning we added.
Oh, we did.
Several more than we repealed
Well,
or sunsetted.
I don't like that direction, but at least we have things like the review, they should come up with a review after 5 years. So that being the situation of, you know, a commissioner testifying, I don't even know, nobody knows what this is about. That's why.
Right.
Well, I don't.
At least that's to the good.
Well, that was part of the motivation to have these budgets come from the administration, because then it really makes everybody take a look at just exactly who and why.
Here, I don't need to have an answer for that question, my question today, so perhaps we could,
Okay,
I have not found anything that suggests there was a change in the underlying statutes that are cited here, so it may be a change in interpretation. I can
okay.
consult.
It's important for me to know, however, I don't need to know right now or today, so in the interest of
okay.
using our time wisely,
And
You know, we had
I
that
was wrong.
conversation in committee.
I was wrong when I said that that was all, because there's 3 more on that page that I didn't see because I had my wrong. 173, 75.
I don't suppose we can, in statute, that if you put one on, you gotta take one off.
No,
No.
No.
I wouldn't do that anyway, because I don't think the number is the important thing here. The important thing is whether they're functioning boards and commissions and if they have a purpose.
Right.
Rather than the number itself.
Well, if they're once and done, or they have a continuing ongoing.
Right. And many of these say working groups, which it is important to have working groups, as we found out from the pension task force. I mean, that could not have been done during the session. All right, so John, have you figured out where we should
Well,
start?
let's just review them and then,
Okay, yeah,
then discuss how we want
yeah,
to.
good idea.
So the first group of ones we have not reviewed starts at number 34, which is the parole board. So 34 through 39 have not been reviewed.
Okay, so now I'm a bit confused. We're going to 84?
34.
34, I'm sorry, pardon me, I didn't, okay,
These are ones we have not reviewed.
okay.
Parole board, the Human Services Board, the Interagency Coordinating Council for Families, Infants, and Toddlers, Vermont, State Rehabilitation Council for the Blind and Visually Impaired, the State Rehabilitation Council Vocational Rehabilitation, and the Statewide Independent Living Council. And it looks like a lot of those, or some of them at least, are federally
I
required.
was just going to ask, so if they're federal required, is it really even worth our time and their effort to sit down and review it?
The only thing that we might do is sometimes the state puts either additional requirements on that aren't required by the feds. think there were a couple of those in the past where
I see. So you think we could make some changes?
that I mean, we might not be able to, but there were a couple, if I remember right, where the state had put on some requirements that the feds didn't, and they seemed unnecessary.
Okay.
I mean, I think they're pretty quick reviews.
Sure.
All right. So then the next group starts at 56.
This was 34 through what, John, did you think?
34
39.
to 39.
39, yeah.
We go to 56. And then we have a whole list from 56 to
Oh, yeah.
72. I think we skipped AHS for some reason.
Because there were so many of them,
Yeah.
I think but we can do those this year.
Yes, that would be this year.
Well, certainly time to review AHS, that's for sure.
What was the last one, John? 71?
2, which is the Substance Misuse Prevention Oversight and Advisory Council.
Yeah.
Renee?
I think it combined a lot of the tobacco board, and instead of having different boards for different substances, there's now just one, as I remember. We probably don't want to repeal the Board of Medical Practice, but maybe we could put it in OPR. It has lived there before, you know.
Really? Good.
Good. I'm pretty sure at one point it did.
I think we should actually just give the responsibility to the Board of Education.
We tried that, didn't we? Yeah, we really.
All right.
Okay, then where,
Then we go to 98, which I don't think we're going to touch. You have the District Environmental Commission. I don't think we're going to touch those. But then you have the 100, 101, and 103.
So can I go back to 98?
Yeah.
I serve on that. However, does the commission feel that it should ask for testimony, or? And
I think both the Senate and House Natural Resources Committees have made efforts to change the governance structure of environmental commissions, I think, and that legislation didn't pass this year. I mean, I don't know if we need to.
I think that we had decided at one point, certainly things like the regional planning commissions and the regional development corporations and stuff like that, that we weren't going to look at what was considered regional agencies or regional commissions. But, and if you changed the district, the district environmental commissions, that's a whole can of worm, opening it up with the whole.
okay,
So I would suggest we probably, that is one we probably don't.
okay.
Then we have the Interagency Committee on Chemical Management and the Interagency Committee on Chemical Management Citizen Advisory Panel.
Yep.
And then the Natural Gas and Oil Resources Board. Why do I think we talked about that one?
We did.
Because we were baffled why we had a Natural Gas and Oil Resources Board, given that I don't think we have natural gas or oil resources in the state.
Yeah, well, we did talk about that.
I think we did.
We should go back and look at that one.
I've seen that language in, somewhere in the administration website, the Natural Gas and Resources Board, and I asked, why is that there? Because the chances of us or any entity looking at natural gas and oil well is non-existent, so.
Well, but maybe we should, and we could become energy independent.
It was a little bit like,
I'm not going to propose that.
it was a little bit like the Racing Commission, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what.
One person, right? It was primarily.
So then we go to
Okay.
122, 123 and 124, which is Cannabis Control Board, nominating committee and its advisory committee.
I think the nominating committee can probably go away.
Uh,
Oh, wait, does it have to exist in case there's a vacancy?
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we could hear from them. Just see how they're doing. I don't know that well.
I mean, are they, I guess everything is in place here. Is the Cannabis Control Advisory Committee, is that,
yeah, that stood up.
Oh, yeah.
Stood up
And they're
and-
functioning.
Yeah.
members are,
My only concern about reviewing any of them this year is the amount of work that they have to do.
Oh, you're right.
I would be concerned, I mean, they're still in the midst of licensing
Yeah.
various cannabis establishments. And
Yep.
I'd rather have them focus on standing up the market than,
And then coming and talking to us?
yeah.
Okay.
Want to have them testify by phone or something, just to.
Well, no, they
Well,
still
it
have
would
to do
still, they
work.
have to do the work. They're only 3 people, you know.
Right.
And
My question is, okay, so they are up and running, and our charge is not only to delete non-existent or non-functioning boards and panels, it's to accept recommendations of any changes that they might want to.
I doubt very much that they would have changes. We made changes in legislative changes last year that they recommended.
right, and I for one would not want changes, because they came in with some really controversial ones last session.
But we did
We did, we gave them what they
Yeah.
needed to be able to
Yeah.
stand up.
Yeah.
Because there was legislative language that had to happen in order for them to get things in place to start being able to license.
And that's a fairly new also, I think that reviewing them after a couple more years makes much more sense.
And I do think there's some language in the cannabis statutes that there is a sunset for the Cannabis Control Board at some point.
All right, so then we go to
Then we go to,
135.
yep. Criminal Justice Council. And then the Training Center Committee,
Yeah.
Training Safety Committee of the Training Center. I swear I've heard testimony about these.
Seems like I did too.
Well, I'm not sure that if it was here or if it was in Gabob's.
I know.
Well, I think we had testimony on these things in committee, because didn't we change the structure? Like the,
The Criminal Justice Council,
Yeah.
but I even remember hearing about the Training Center Governance Committee and the Training Safety
Yeah.
Subcommittee.
right, I think we heard about that
Yeah.
in mid deeds.
In committees.
Got rid of, I thought.
No, because I think the safety committee they felt was really important, and it's just a subcommittee of the training council, but, I mean, of the criminal justice council. But I think that was in our committees that we had the testimony
Okay.
from those, not in here.
Okay.
So then we go to 144, the Vermont Enhanced 911 Board.
Yeah.
We have reviewed them, but we voted to postpone action.
I want to make sure we do 145.
That should be pretty quick.
Yeah, let's take that one first.
146 is the
Debate it.
Intercollegiate Sexual Harm Prevention Council. That was just
I
created.
was gonna say, I just got stood up.
Yep. And then we have the Advisory Council on Literacy.
Same thing.
Just gets stood up in 2021.
Oh. And I don't suppose we want to tackle the State Board of Education again.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
We caused enough trouble there.
Did they actually make any changes though, that committee?
Yeah.
Did they?
They've given them new duties.
Did they?
Yeah,
So I
that
haven't
not
paid
everybody's
attention.
happy with. I think now the State Board of Education has authority over school districts withdrawing from,
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Tell them they can.
You're right.
yeah.
I remember that debate on the floor. Okay, yep.
Oh, and then we go to workforce, labor.
What are number you?
I jumped all the way to 176.
Where?
We're still,
158,
Oh,
that's where I was here.
Commission on Public School Benefits. We should look at that one. Why is that even in education? Under education.
because if that's the thing I'm thinking of, there's this bizarre system where if you leave one district and your contract ends on June 31st.
I'm not sure we figured that one out,
Oh,
that very specific thing. I think this Commission on Public School Employee Health Benefits is looking at having similar health benefits provided, at least the benefits themselves, if not the amount of cost sharing from the teacher and the school and the district, but across the state. So this was set up a few years ago when talk about the statewide teachers contract and
let's look at that.
yes.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks.
Then we have surplus lines insurance, multi-state compliance compact commission. We probably don't want to touch that because it's a multi-state compact.
Yeah,
And the same with the interstate insurance product regulation commission. But we should check. Then you drop down to
yeah,
labor,
sorry about that.
176 through 181.
We did the tramway board, didn't we?
I thought we had
I know we did.
Where is that?
181.
181. I know we took testimony. Maybe we never made a decision.
I don't remember that one at all.
I do.
Yeah, we do too.
What's a tramway?
Those are like, they inspect
Keeler.
skilots.
Oh,
I don't think we want them to go away, but
we did.
yeah, that's why
Yeah,
and I think we did workforce development too.
I have my old spreadsheets. I didn't bring them with me today, unfortunately, but I'll look and see because I kept notes on those.
We also can get Ameren's notes from what we did last year.
Yep.
I think we talked about those. I don't think we discussed the state apprenticeship council or the employment security board.
No.
Or the occupational safety and health review board or the labor board review panel.
But those three are all federally required.
They might be.
Why is the Occupational Safety and Health Review Board, why is the per diem set by the Commissioner of Human Resources? Well, we're going to review that, right?
Yeah.
That's something we could review. It says, I mean, it's highlighted in green, which says per diem language, not perfect.
Well, I'd just like to know why the Commissioner of Human Resources.
Because there were some boards that statutorily, there was some differences.
You know,
and that's why they should all be set by their agency or department instead of just some,
okay.
in my opinion.
Then we have 192 Natural Resources Board, but
We get that clarified.
Yeah,
then we go to 205 Search and Rescue Council. I note in the notes, it says scheduled for repeal on July 1st, 2021. I recall that we extended it
What's the number?
in GovOps. That was like 4 years ago.
5, council.
Yeah.
So,
I remember hearing testimony. I don't know if it was in here or with Seneca Ops.
No, it was GovOps. I remember
Yeah.
because I think Drew Hazelton came in and asked to have it.
Yes.
It had sunset language in it,
But don't sunset, yeah.
but now it says scheduled for repeal on July 1st, 2021, which means it's repealed.
Well, let's look at
a
that.
year ago,
Yeah.
over a year ago.
Let's look at that one.
Then we have 209 and 210. Texas Low-Level Radioactive Waste Disposal Compact Commission.
We need to keep that. That's low level, that's stuff from the hospitals and doctors' offices and
Sure, we heard
stuff.
about that too.
I'm pretty sure we did, but I know what that commission is because we had big fights with them.
And then we have 210, the Nuclear Decommissioning Citizen Advisory Panel,
Yep.
Yeah.
which, is it still operating?
It does, it's probably close to ending because the
Vermont Yankees-
decommission is completely decommissioned.
Yeah, well, we should take a look at, see if has a sunset in it.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah,
make sure.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot on the next page, 211 through 214, and then 217. But we're getting into some of 225. Residential Building Energy Labeling Working Group, that's another one scheduled for appeal on June 30th, 2021.
So 215 through, what's the number?
211 through 214, then
Yep.
217 through, well, then we get into the OPR ones. So then you go 217 through, it goes on to the next page.
So we have a lot. I thought we were getting close to the end, but
Well, we're not going to do, I think we've already decided we're not going to do any of the ones that fall under OPR.
Yeah, we already took testimony from,
Yeah.
okay.
So we're not going to do any of those.
so then you have the Commercial and Multi-Unit Building Energy Labeling Working Group. And that was scheduled for appeal, so
As well.
those may be just checking that they have repealed. Review Board on Retail Sales. Don't know anything about that. And Vermont Telecommunications Authority. And then the Vermont Public Power Supply Authority. The Clean Energy Development Board.
What numbers, John?
218.
No.
218, okay.
Vermont Community Broadband Board. And the Legislative Apportionment.
Right, that should have
Then we get,
sunset.
well, then you get into the Legislative Apportionment Board?
Right, because it's not going to meet again for 10 years, right?
Well,
But I think that the problem is that you don't pay any attention to it. And then it comes up for its work. And then they say, but there could be some changes here that might make it operate better. But then it's too late.
So I guess I take that back, because if we repeal it, then you have to have legislative action to go through and reconstitute it.
Yeah, you wouldn't repeal it necessarily, but you would maybe
Sort of
change it.
Dormant. And there's no reason for it to meet, other than,
no, it meets.
10 years.
It meets right before the redistricting starts, but it doesn't go away.
It gets reappointed.
Yeah.
right,
New members get appointed
Every
every
10
10 years, but I do know that, for example, when, not this last one, but the one before that, there were questions about who were members of it. And at the time, I believe it was only Republicans and Democrats. And then we added progressives to the board. Because they were a major party.
Well, I guess
So-
my concern with the LEB is that for 2 redistrictings in a row, they proposed single-member House districts across the board, which is inconsistent with the Constitution and statutes. And just, sadly, it wasted our time to some extent because, we couldn't use the majority report.
Didn't waste our time at all.
Well,
We didn't even.
no, you didn't have to deal with it, but I
Well,
mean,
yeah, we did, because it was,
we had to pass it.
well, but we had single member, you had to pass something first, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, that's right.
But it would have been helpful to have a starting point that the LAB had proposed and we were just tweaking instead of,
But
Yeah.
they did propose.
Well, I think that unless you get rid of the LAB, you're always going to have,
well, there's a push to get rid of the legislature from the process.
Right, yeah.
Well,
A bill got
wait a minute.
submitted.
Let's think about that proposal, okay?
I'm not suggesting you do
No.
that, but
but we can't do that anyway. That's not our job, to get rid of the legislature in the reapportionment process. But, I mean, we're looking at boards and commissions, not,
Yeah.
we could, Tom Little's a bright guy. And I think he's been frustrated.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to hear testimony from him about any recommendations he has with respect to how to reconstitute or change the,
change the makeup. I mean, maybe the way we have it now.
or change the
Which is-
language around it.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't there something constitutionally?
There's a board.
Right, okay. We can go back and look there, Madam Chair.
Well, I like Tom, and I served with Tom. But he's only one member of,
He's what?
he's only one member on that legislative apportionment board.
Right.
The chair.
He's the chair. And he has been at least the last 2 times.
But it might be fair to have an alternate perspective too.
Well, what I don't want us to get into, though, is the decisions that they made and how the legislature dealt with them. I don't want us to start to get into whether there should be single-member districts or not, or whether the majority report or the minority report, because that's not our job. Our job is to look at the boards and commissions, not to look at what they recommend to the legislature, if that makes any
Yeah, that
sense at
makes
all.
sense. We may want to amend their charge somewhat.
That's all I was thinking. It might be.
Okay, so we're down to
Okay.
5.
So then I'm going to skip through all the Secretary of State ones. So that brings us to ourselves, 241, Sunset Advisory Commission. Then 243, the State Ethics Commission, which we extended the sunset.
This year.
It's not, we must have extended it again because we just passed,
Yeah, we didn't.
we passed the
repeal
ethics bill
commission.
this year.
Yeah, we did.
There's more on the code of ethics, but
So
But I'm
I
sure,
would assume we took care of that.
yeah.
that one, it's had a little bit of a rocky road at some times.
Yes.
There's a concern from some parties regarding enforcement, et cetera. So should that come back up for,
Well, we're not going to deal with whether they should have enforcement abilities. I don't think that's our, I mean, I
Right.
suppose we could.
Well, the legislation that passed this past year was to create a code of ethics, which is the first step in the process of getting to enforcement. And I think, at least the testimony we had in House Gov Ops was to sort of, let's educate people about the code of ethics before we start enforcing it,
If we start enforcing,
if we start. But
yeah.
We should look at it to make sure that we didn't sunset it.
yeah, we should definitely make sure we didn't sunset it.
Sure we didn't, because
Yeah.
Somebody would be yelling at us.
we spent a lot, Rob, can I,
Yes, ma'am.
the apportionment board?
Yes.
In the Constitution, it says the General Assembly may provide for establishment of a legislative apportionment board to advise and assist the General Assembly concerning legislative apportionment.
Right.
It isn't specific about what it should be.
Right, but I knew there's language in the Constitution
That
about it.
says
But it,
will be,
there, it shall or will?
may
So it's
provide.
permissive. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we have the 245, which is a Special Investigative Units Grants Board. Which, the Special Investigative Units Grants Board, it's under the state's attorneys and sheriffs.
I have no idea.
I have no idea what that is.
Guess we better look at it.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Then we have 247, the unorganized,
Yeah.
unorganized towns and Gore's Appraisers Board. I think that's necessary.
Either that or the Towns and Gores. Yeah. Current Use Advisory Board?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably
Yeah.
take a look at that. We already talked about the Burlington International Airport Working Group. Then we get into all the treasurers, various boards and commissions. Which is, well, we're not going to get rid of the Teachers Retirement Board of Trustees. Education and Health Building Financing Agency, the Emergency Personnel Survivor Benefit Review, Treasurer's Local Investment Advisory Committee,
Well, there are a lot of them on the
the
next
Vermont
page.
Municipal, yeah, there's a lot.
I'm not looking to add to our work, but I have to confess that I would be curious to know, just have a high level run by of these, because I mean, for instance, the VPIC, once we get looking at it, we made changes. And I'm not saying that all of these changes should happen, but I'd be curious to know the makeup of these boards.
So put them all in?
Well,
Yeah.
and it seems like one person could come in and speak to them if we decide to go this route.
I would think Michael Clausen could run through them all.
I don't think we're going to get rid of the bond bank.
Probably not.
Okay.
Well, for instance, like 259, the Retired Employees Committee on Insurance. Who is that comprised of? Are there just former, employees, or are there actually professionals from the industry?
Well, let's look at them.
Yep.
So 256 through?
62.
Okay.
Then we go to 264. And we get two UVM ones, Morgan Horse Farm Committee and the University of Vermont Board of Trustees.
Which I doubt we want to get rid of.
Well, I could see changing it. I do have an issue with legislators serving on the UVM Board of Trustees.
Well, I will oppose you on that one.
Well, wait a minute, I do actually, I think I'm gonna take John's position on this one, so maybe we can,
We could have them put in,
yeah.
but what it means is an opening up their charter. It isn't a simple matter of saying, and legislators are not necessarily on their board of trustees. It's elected by the legislature. It does not say legislators.
Well, we seem to put legislators on it.
Well, yes, because I was the first one to nominate a non-legislator to succeed me when I left.
So are we just going to do 265?
I just got a question, maybe you
Yeah.
know it, but with this whole vision of reconstructing all of our state colleges and stuff.
Yeah.
Why is UVM carved out of that discussion?
UVM is, do you want a
Well,
little
I-
story? So UVM is an odd entity. It is a quasi-private, quasi-public university. It isn't like most state universities. The University of Vermont is actually a private school,
We only give it a partial portion of its funding.
but it is a private school. It has a self-perpetuating board of trustees.
I see.
And then when the land grant colleges were set up, they set up the state agriculture college.
Okay.
So it wasn't until like late 1950s where they started having anything in common with each other. They did the first thing they did, I think, was an application process together. And then they started doing things, and then they actually merged, but they're still two separate entities.
Okay.
So you have the University of Vermont Board, the State Agricultural College Board, and then the Board of the Whole.
I see. So it truly is different than.
It truly is very different.
Castleton or-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
There was a guy who used to work at UVM when I first, I worked for them for a while. And he did this for all new employees. He did this whole history of it. It was fascinating the way it happened. And, it was supposed to go to Middlebury, the University of Vermont. What they wanted to do is put it in Middlebury. I don't know why. And, but that was where they were going to put it. And then,
Was Middlebury and Middlebury then?
no. Middlebury College? No, it wasn't. And then Ira and Ethan Allen got really upset because, of course, they wanted it in Burlington and they had some land. And they said, we'll give you the land if you'll put it in Burlington. And then the people in Middlebury they got their own college. Anyway,
Worked out.
okay.
Then we have the Vermont Economic Development Authority and the Agricultural Finance Credit Program Advisory Panel.
I have no idea what that
I
is.
don't either. State Infrastructure Bank Board. Vermont Seed Capital Fund Board of Advisors. Vermont Agricultural Credit Program Board.
Well, we could just hear from Vita on kind of all of those.
Yeah. And then we have the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation Board of Directors, VSAC. I don't think we're changing those, but Vermont Historical Society. Then we get into the Vermont State College Board of Trustees. That has to have changed.
Oh, yeah, there's been legislative changes.
Yeah, that would probably be a good one to hear from because we've pumped a lot of money into them.
Then the Vermont Universal Children's Higher Education Savings Account Program Fund Advisory Committee.
Holy cow. We ought to meet and just have them change the name.
Yeah, why is it under the state colleges? I don't understand that.
Well, it's the Vermont Universal Children's Higher Education Savings Account Program.
I think it's the one where you can put money into, for your grandchildren
All right.
to go to college and stuff, and
Didn't they do that internally? I mean, do they need to have a,
well, it's part of, it's under VSAC.
Well, see, that's the thing. I would think
Yeah.
it would be under VSAC, but it's under Vermont State Colleges.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I was.
I see what you're saying.
A little
Got
puzzled
it.
by.
Got it. Okay, well, let's hear from them.
Then you have the Veterans Home Board of Trustees.
You want to go there?
We should take a look at them.
We should.
And that's it, unless we want to worry about judicial and legislative administration. Which are, start at 282 or 283. Judiciary's done a pretty good job of limiting the number of boards and commissions they have.
And it seems that we had somebody from judicial come in, not this session, but the session before, I thought, to talk on some of these, didn't they?
I don't remember it.
I don't remember that.
We had The guy came in and talked about
Restorative justice maybe or something?
Justice, yeah, he has.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
And I remember that they suggested that there could be changes in the legislation. They weren't ready to give us the,
That's what I'm thinking, is restorative justice.
Why
is what we-
is 294 Joint Information Technology Oversight is in pink? I haven't seen pink before.
pink.
Let's take that one out.
John and Jeanette, I counted. I think we have 89.
89 to go.
That's a lot.
Well, some of them I think will be,
Yeah.
like the treasurer's ones, I think most of them will probably be pretty fast.
One person can address them, but
Yeah, 89,
of course we could drag it out.
I could have been off by one or two, but that's what I counted.
good.
That's a lot.
But
We got 4 meetings left.
figuring we
And
started,
is that excluding OPR?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
So do we know why joint information technology oversight is in pink?
I don't see,
I will seek some input.
yeah, I don't see a code to pink.
saving yellow.
I see yellow, blue, and green.
Yeah.
Maybe why it's in pink.
Well, this one is interesting. Vermont Child Poverty Council, it says terminates 6/30/18.
It was revised and its name was changed.
The other part of this discussion that's not on this is if the Secretary of State's office, should they come in and apprise us of how much progress they've made on getting this automated, if any?
Well, Tanya
Oh,
came in last year. We should look at our notes as to what she said. I mean, if you remember the debate we've had, it's not that they
I do
can't do
remember.
it, it's how much it's going to cost to do it.
Because I mean, technically, we're still reduced to using, looks like an Excel spreadsheet.
Well, to maintain these, I mean, the governor does have his own database for boards and commissions appointed by the governor.
I wonder how sophisticated that is.
Well, it's sophisticated enough so that
People can sign up and
you can see
apply.
them on you
Yeah.
can see them on the governor's website and you can apply.
But I would be curious to know if the Secretary of State's office has made any progress here as far as, because the price tag they came with originally was some sticker shock.
Well, I don't think they've made any progress because we would have to task them with that and fund it,
Right.
which I'd be reticent to do personally at the cost.
Oh, so I, well, because it seems like we had looked at another program that was much more cost effective.
But we do have to have that discussion
Yeah.
we should.
because that's the one thing that we, I think, have not, that's a task that we're supposed to complete that we have not completed.
Right.
So there are 3 under the legislative ones here. Do we want to, one is the Parentage Study Committee, Vermont Child Poverty Council, and the Capital Complex Security Advisory Committee.
All right, parentage study committee should probably take a look at because it's supposed to.
What number is that?
300,
Oh, okay.
301, and
There it is.
305.
301?
Those, 301, yeah, we should just.
And
because-
300, it says it's scheduled for repeal. I don't know if it was then,
So that one was over a
The
year.
Capital Complex Security Advisory Committee?
that's what it says, scheduled for
We
repeal.
should check. Because that seems to be an ongoing issue, unless it's been taken over by the, like,
I don't know, we should just look at it and see what,
I agree.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
say we, as Jeanette has mentioned, we think we can handle this. So let's do if we do the next couple of meetings, and it looks like we can finish in good order. And I don't think there's any necessity was sending purview. But if we get to the end and it's apparent we're not going to do that, not going to be able to do them all, then I would ask the commission to consider not a full year extension, but let's say 2 meetings or something of that nature to clean it up. Because then I'd feel more, and I'm not a guy who wants to extend, our meetings any further than we have to, but if it looks like we can't make them all, then perhaps 1 or 2 additional meetings make sense to finish it up in good order. That's all, okay? And I'm willing to go the next 3 and see like, hey, we'll do 5. So that's just I'd have to serve with other people, and I'm sure Brian and I could feel bad.
Let's see what we can, let's try to put together an agenda for the next 4 meetings to see how many of these boards and commissions we can get through.
Yep.
Because then that will determine how much work is remaining.
What if we started with AHS and tried to just get them out of the way? They have so many of them. We could devote a whole day to just AHS, and I think we could
Probably.
move through a bunch of these.
All right, so AHS starts at
34.
34? All right. So we have 34 through 39, then you go to 50. That's more than 1 day.
Well, some of them I think will be really quick, like the maternal mortality review panel. We may not even need to have testimony from them. They can just send in what they do. They meet once a year to review the maternal mortality rate and file a report on how many mortalities there were.
And
Yeah.
I think it's important that we tell the commissioner or the agency secretary, it's our expectation that we intend to get through these. So, be brief, be succinct, and put your foot on the gas so we can get your agency done. There's no sense for them sitting there and talking forever. They simply say, yes, we appreciate it. Yes, we're going to keep this one. There's nothing we'd like to see change. It's functioning, it's working. Next, and move on from there. That's all.
Fair amount, that would be addressed in their questionnaire.
Right.
And there are some that we may not need to do on here, like we probably are not going to get rid of the Board of Health.
Well, maybe we should just go through these and say, okay, which ones are we going to do?
Do we really want to do? Okay, good idea.
So the first one's the parole board.
Okay, wait a minute. I got to go to my first thing.
Yeah, obviously we gotta, I think, have a parole board.
Okay, starting 34? Yep. All right, go ahead.
So we're going to review it or not?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, we are. Okay, even though there's no question that we should have it.
Oh,
I thought that was the intent, was to,
Your discussion though about whether there should be changes to the legislative language
Yeah, we could.
around the charge and
Okay.
what they do.
Right.
I don't know if that means you want to review or not review, but I think
Yeah.
your
I think we should,
question was broader than just repeat or not.
yeah.
well, I don't want to sound contrary, but then maybe rather than us go through and pick, we just ask them to respond to all these and say either like the parole board legislative language needs to be changed or, like the human services board, just to pick another one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Everything is okay as is.
All right. So parole board,
Yeah, go ahead.
we do want to review because sending a questionnaire.
There's a lot of work
Yeah,
for
that's
somebody.
right. So if we do, we haven't reviewed it, so that's fine. Then you have the Human Service Board, which I guess we did review back in September of 2019, and we requested further testimony.
Well, let's find out what
We should check on that.
Same thing with the Interagency Coordinating Council.
Yep, we should check.
those are the federal ones.
And then on the next three the two state rehabilitation councils, if those are required by federal law, we shouldn't touch them.
I agree.
Okay.
So let's just check.
Well, I was just gonna say, but based on what Jeanette had said, is there some state statute that maybe got added that,
We can look, I think,
Okay.
at that. And the same with the State Independent Living Council. That's required by federal law, I think. So we should just check rather than asking them to do a questionnaire.
And 40 and 41, we don't need to do because we just established them.
40 and 41?
I mean,
We have
reviewed
Kane.
yep. Oh, yeah.
Already looked
Yep.
at it.
yeah, we have, there, yeah, what am I thinking? I was
Right,
thinking of that.
so,
Yeah,
So then we go to 56. Department of Corrections Monitoring Commission. That was created by
Yeah.
Act 56 in 2021.
that was just, and we actually just made changes to it this last year at the request of the commissioner, Commissioner Demmel. We worked with institutions and correction, whatever that committee is, Alice Emmons Committee.
Yep.
And so we just made changes to that last year, so I wouldn't,
so we don't need to go
I
back
don't think we need to.
Okay.
and do that.
Go to that, yeah.
All right. The Board of Health.
We don't need. Do we? We're gonna
Well,
repeal the Board of Health?
Well,
There are some questions, you may want to hear from them. I think there are some questions about what its appropriate role is at this point and how it relates to other work done by the Department of Health.
Okay.
all right. Coalition for Healthy Activity, Motivation, and Prevention Programs.
That's champ. That's
Yes.
Senator Lyons. She is the champ for champ. But we should review it because I think that there are 58 and 59 are,
Yeah, then there's the Champs Fit and Healthy
Yeah.
Advisory Council. I remember looking at that at some point. It had like a huge list of
yeah.
members.
well, then that is a subject for discussion. Because you need to have X number of people for, sure, okay.
The Vermont Immunization, sorry, tripping over that one, Advisory Council. Should probably take a look at that,
Yeah, I think we should.
given the pandemic.
Yeah. And the maternal mortality review panel, I think what we should just do is ask them to, they don't need to do a whole questionnaire, I don't think. But we could just ask them if they can just comment on what it is, because I think, aren't they, Jen, the ones that look at, once a year, look at the maternal mortality rates and say why?
Right, I think they actually look more deeply into cases of maternal mortality. They do submit an annual report. They have submitted one for, 22 report.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to hear from them. I think that it's so defined what they do.
All right,
They can't meet more than 3 times a year anyway.
so you want to skip them?
I would.
Well, plus something was dealt with in 2020 anyway. I mean, it looked like somebody had gone back and revisited back in 2020.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
so then you have the Chemicals of High Concern to Children Working Group. That seems to be something that should have sunset if it hasn't, but we should check that
We
one.
should, yeah.
Controlled Substances and Pain Management Advisory Council?
Jen, do you know what that is? Is that the marijuana?
No, it's looking at it's a lot of opioid appropriate treatment, appropriate prescription of opioids for treatment of pain. It's sort of related to the work of that the prescription monitoring system does and looking at how to treat pain and how to deal with issues related to pain while also being responsible in the prescription and use of controlled substances. like opioid kind of controlled substances.
So
Okay.
if you look at 63 of Controlled Substances and Pain Management Advisory Council, but then you skip down to 69 and you have the Palliative Care and Pain Management Task Force. I know palliative care is end-of-life care.
It's comfort care, it may not.
Comfort care.
be life, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's also and pain management. So, well,
should look at
I mean, I think you can ask them how those two fit together and whether there's duplication.
When you say look at them, are
72
you contemplating giving them a survey and have
Yeah.
them? Okay, because I mean, I'm listening to the conversation here, there's only 2 or 3 here we're saying that either because of current action or whatever, that sounds like everybody else, we're gonna have answer the questionnaire.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we need to do the EMS education count, the 68. I don't think we need to do that.
Okay, that's
That's-
66.
Because that was just dealt with in 2022,
Well,
parts of it. part of it.
68 was just, it was just established a couple of years ago. This was the Jim Baker
Yeah,
one. And then last year, we just added professional ski patrol.
so take 66 and 68 out.
Well, I don't, 66,
This is the EMS Education Council.
oh, yeah, I don't think we,
So as long as we're dealing with EMS, then you have 65, which is the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Committee.
and that we made changes to a couple of years ago with the 13 districts.
Yep.
I don't know that we need to.
Let's continue this. I'm just looking them up.
I love the name of 67. VPUC?
We say VPQHC. Tell it what you-
Well, DFR got rid of it. They didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, I think we should hear from them. I never quite understood what they did.
Yeah, really, compared to, I mean, you got the Green Mountain Care Board.
I don't know what, they have been there for a long time.
Right, so, but what do they do?
I
Did they predate the Green Mountain Care Board? I mean,
Yes, significantly.
I know the Green Mountain Care Board is about budgets, but I would think that would also maybe fall in their purview.
Yeah,
Which one are we talking about?
VPUC.
Where's that?
67.
Vermont Program for Quality Healthcare.
Isn't that terrible? I said that to Helen really once because I think she was the chair and I thought she was going to throttle me.
You call it.
So do we want to check on that one?
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So we're going to do Emergency Medical Services Advisory Committee or no?
I don't know if we need to. I don't.
We just changed it the year before last.
The year that we went into the pandemic, I think is when we,
We created the Education Council, which is a subset of the
Yeah. it's like
Yeah.
13 members.
Advisory
yeah,
Committee.
yeah, I don't think we need to.
All right. The Birth Information Network Advisory Committee?
No idea what that is.
I'd like to know.
Check. Okay, then we go down to Board of Medical Practice. Yes, no?
I think it's worth asking them to complete the paperwork, but this one is so huge. I don't know how deeply we can get into it and be effective, if you will. And again, I'm cognizant that we want to get the entire agency finished in one fell swoop, so that one, to me, as this may, it's a big level of responsibility. So
Maybe we could have them do the survey, the thing, and then we can decide whether we think it's worth
Yeah.
having
Have them
them
come in, speak
come
to
in
it.
the next time
Okay.
instead of.
I'm comfortable with that, thank you.
So the child fatality review team is very similar to the maternal
Yeah.
mortality.
So we're good. All right.
And I don't think we need to do 72, do we? I mean, they were just formed to take over all the responsibilities of the tobacco board and the,
Right, and they have input into some of the revenue that will be coming from the Cannabis Control Board.
and I think they're relatively new, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they should be.
All right. So that gets us through AHS.
My guess is we can do those in a day.
Yeah, as long as we make that the priority in the documentation that we're gonna need is all there in advance.
That'll be our next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, let's get them done.
Okay.
Yeah, because then if there's anything we need to follow up on.
All right, so that's good meeting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
It's 12
Yeah,
out of Brian's 89.
yeah.
Good. Do we want to try and figure out what we're going to do the next time or?
Yes, we should decide, because one of the advantages of using this as a planning meeting is we can identify what we propose to do for each of our meetings.
Yep.
And actually send out the questionnaires right away, because as you know, in past years, we have sometimes struggled to get the questionnaires completed in time for us
Yep.
to review them. So I mean, if we can identify how we're going to do each of our meetings, then we can get the questionnaires out.
That's a good idea.
We should probably do A and R the next time, along with Cannabis Control Board shouldn't be long.
I don't know that we even need to
I
do them.
wouldn't
I don't
wanna
think we
do
should
them.
even do them.
I'd give them another year. I mean, 'cause they're so overworked right now. I mean, they have to get their licensing done this fall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I saw David Sure the other day and he looked like he was ready to
I think
follow
ENR's got enough, that might be a day in itself.
A&R.
If we, wait a minute, I'm just looking.
No, no.
Sorry, you've already, I take
No,
it back,
just
I'm sorry.
wait.
I didn't look.
So we're not gonna do
right
the-
far enough.
District Environmental Commission for Interagency on Chemical Management.
It's just those two that are, and then the natural resources, the natural gas.
Yeah, so there's three.
3,
So we gotta combine them with,
somebody else.
Okay.
About the treasurer's office.
I'll have to step over to this.
criminal justice training. There's only a few of those.
I think, I would want to double check. I swear we have dealt with the Training Center Governance Committee and the Training Safety Subcommittee. I'd want to check on those. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just, no, someone explained those to me.
Yep.
And it either was in this commission or in GovOps.
Good luck.
Well, but
I think
if we had an explanation, then,
Yeah,
Should be there.
all right, so I'm going to just write check on those.
okay. All right.
So that brings us to 144, which is the Vermont Enhanced 911 Board. I know they have funding issues.
Not our purview.
But, I mean, it may be the makeup of the board too. I mean, I think they're worth looking at.
Yeah, I think so.
Intercollegiate Sexual Harm Prevention Council, that was just set up in
Yeah.
2021,
Yeah.
so we won't review it?
I
We
don't,
need to.
No,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think we do.
And the same with the Advisory Council on Literacy.
Yeah, it's only 1 year old.
Yeah.
All right, we're whacking these right down.
So then we go to 158, which is the Commission on Public School Employee Health Benefits.
So just a quick question, just for going forward, like say the Vermont Enhanced 911 Board, should there be somewhere a note made here that we decided not to review it? So that going forward,
oh, I think you're right. We should probably just put in here something so that we don't look at it again.
Right.
And say, should we review?
should we or shouldn't we?
What was that?
I'm just, some of those that we made the decision not to go back, I'm just using, say for instance, like
Well, the maternal
One-
and
one-
child fatality,
or 146,
we've decided not to review.
right.
Right.
And the 146 that he just,
So if you were just to stay consistent, if we're not going to review it, then we're looking to work to maintain it
at this point.
at this point, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if we just put maintain under recommended status, then for the sake, then we won't be back and looking at it again.
So the ones we decided not to review, you want to say maintain?
Maintain.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's, yeah,
And we should,
yeah.
going back to the Vermont Enhanced 911 Board, we did review it 2019 and voted to postpone action until the legislature considers the Secretary of Administration's recommendations required via 2019 legislation.
We asked them to find a home for it, where it should be. Should it be in the Department of Public Safety? Should it be a standalone? They came back with the recommendation that it should be in the Department of Public Safety. And that there would be a separate operating board, but that it would be housed there. And I don't know where that is right now. And it would have been in the, Brian, it would have been in the Agency of Public Safety if we'd ever
Yeah.
gotten an agency set up. But
Who's gonna take that up?
that's what I thought.
We
But
just ran out of time.
Yeah, well, we were trying to put flesh on the bones from the stuff from the Senate, trying to.
we put so much flesh on those bones that was you could have just passed that bill as it was
Considered obese.
exactly like it
Healthy patient when it reached you.
was. Thank you.
So, I mean, given that we've looked at,
I
I don't know if we
think
want to send them an entire questionnaire.
I think
911 board?
911 board, and I think it's even gotten more complicated now with the whole dispatch conversation about call taking and dispatching and the regional dispatch with DPS not doing. So I'm not sure that this is the time to,
Yeah, it is much more complicated.
yeah, it is very complicated. I think that we might not want to
I do have an email.
do them. I think that is, I think that is a question that's going to have to be addressed in committees of jurisdiction, along with the whole dispatch, and
So it's a larger governance
it
discussion.
really is.
Let's see.
So one of the last jobs I worked on when I was a state employee, and that's 5 years ago, was these folks right here, all the troubles or issues that they had, et cetera. So,
E911,
so at some point, it should be taken a look at. You might be right, in the committees of jurisdiction, they can dig deep enough to, because I remember some stuff that, so. anyway.
Well, you were right. I mean, there's been funding issues and ongoing funding concerns, and then there's governance. I mean, it certainly is a much larger discussion.
And then I think now with DPS getting out of dispatch, that it's going to, the whole, that needs to be all one conversation. We kind of tried to have it last year, but it really needs to be Maybe it needs to be a summer work study. I mean, it really is a very complicated issue with,
What are you looking for, John?
I was looking at S-155, which is creating an agency of public safety. I remember Barbara Neal contacted us wanting to testify on that, but we never took it up. So.
I know you didn't. It was such a good bill too. It was,
I know it was. I had expressed some disappointment that we didn't take it.
anyway, that's passed, so that's,
So with respect to them, do we want them to fill out a questionnaire given that they have, or do we just want them to come in and testify?
911?
Yeah.
I don't think we want them at all.
Okay, so there are
I
no.
think that it's a larger question that is so wound up with
Got it.
dispatch and DPS and
That's fine.
the region.
So would you put them as maintain or leave the TBD?
Well,
I'd send a letter to the committees of jurisdiction.
Oh, believe me, they're going to,
Well, then
It's a
it's off our,
I'm going to maybe amend my prior statement in that I think it should be maintained, but maybe with a slash, not reviewed, or something to let us know that we didn't review it.
okay,
Does that, I'm just,
Yeah, no,
some
I-
way to make some sense to this so that you're not having to go back and keep trying to steer us in the right direction all the time.
yeah, I think that's a good idea, just because maintain sounds like we actually heard from them and took a vote.
Right.
Yeah,
Then 146 and 7 would be maintained too.
No, there's a,
Well,
we won't review them.
but he's saying,
I don't think you were part of that conversation, John, that
Oh.
the ones that we've talked about that we're not going to review, we're saying maintain, because obviously we're not going to review it, we're going to maintain it, but somehow make a note that we're going to maintain it, but we hadn't reviewed it formally.
so maintain slash not reviewed.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Can I take you back for 1 minute to 1:30 because it's the Vermont Climate Council and there's nothing there.
Oh, right. I missed one.
Oh,
I'm all
Oh,
about,
there's a can of
I
worms.
think we should repeal that one.
well, that was only created in 2020. I'm not sure I would review it.
Yeah, well, some of us didn't vote for it in 2020 either.
I know,
So I just want to be consistent.
yeah. So on that one, we would say maintain slash not reviewed.
Right.
Okay. So on all of them that I'm putting in maintain.
Yeah.
From today.
Yeah.
you get the other ones, Jen?
You could put a frowning emoji after it, though.
We did, as we were going through, we did say, don't review it, but the cannabis boards.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, okay.
I've written wait, then I've written maintain, but I will change all of those to
Okay.
maintain slash.
Okay. So
All right, so-
where are we now?
158.
Yep.
Commission on Public School Employee Health Benefits.
Yeah, I have no idea what that.
So we should review that.
Yeah, because I'm taking that to,
Well, that's what I'm.
was it statewide negotiations, who knows?
that one was amended in
2021,
2021, so
that's fair.
That's true.
Let's see, what is
was
it?
it necessary for us to?
Probably not. If it was amended in 2021.
And again, I'm only thinking about making sure we
Yeah.
It's,
do the ones that,
it's to determine, the commission is supposed to determine in accordance with section 2103 of this chapter, the amounts of the premiums and out-of-pocket expenses for school employee health benefits that will be borne by school employers and by participating employees.
I don't think we need to review it. But
So is that collective bargaining
it sounds like it's,
language?
I think Jen said that that was the one that was looking at the possibility of statewide health benefits for teachers.
Right, it's looking at standardization of, of statewide health benefits for public school employees, but this commission is 10 members representing school employees and school employers. It was amended pretty extensively in 2021.
I think if it was just amended in 2021, we shouldn't.
Let's skip this one.
It's part of a whole.
Maintain.
process, you know.
Maintain, not reviewed.
Yep.
If we did my
Suggested.
thing here, we wouldn't even have to have that.
It's expensive commission. Has
I
a
think-
minimum annual budget of $35,000.
Okay. I think we should have all public employees in the same
I wonder if it's for
health plan,
Account.
not,
statisticians and all that.
Who would make the determination?
you'd have a board made up of somebody from state employees, UVM, state colleges, teachers,
In other words, the whole VPIC.
not BPIC. This would be the health benefits.
Right, but I'm saying that everybody who's under VPIC and others,
Everybody who's paid by public money,
exactly, right, right,
including municipal employees,
right,
UVM,
right.
and not have it negotiable. Decide.
Interesting.
But I put in a bill to that effect, and now people are telling me it's time to put it in again, so I'm gonna get somebody to put it in next year. Anyway, okay,
So the next one, surplus lines, insurance, multi-state compliance compact commission. I think we should check on that one. If it's part of a
what number is that?
160,
Okay.
if it's part of an interstate compact, I mean,
You only get two for financial regulation anyway, I think.
then the Interstate Insurance Product Regulation Committee, I would check that one too, just to see if it's a interstate compact.
So for clarity, these, we're expecting them to answer the questionnaire.
No, we're checking on them.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Just review the statute, because if it's part of an interstate compact, I mean, we can't change an interstate compact.
Right, okay.
So I think it's just checking the statute to see if that is the case.
Okay, and then we can decide what we need
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
So on those, how would we want to denote that?
Well, we wouldn't yet.
We wouldn't.
We would
We
come
just
back
leave it
next
open.
time and we would have checked to see.
Right, I've put
What
like
the-
check,
Checking or something, you know, checking or reviewing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
And then I think your next yellow ones here, we would do the same thing that we
maintain,
say maintain, not reviewed.
yeah.
Yeah.
all right, so then we go to 176. State Workforce Development Board. Didn't we do something around that last year? Wasn't that what Tori was, was the executive director of,
Well, there was a lot of discussion around
she testified.
workforce development for sure.
But she said, but did she say it's federally required?
She's the executive director. I think we reviewed this one.
Well,
Yeah, it does say federally required and then it says question marks, ED says yes.
I think we should check it, but I think, I have some recollection that we talked about it.
okay. But since they've indicated federally required, we're checking on the fact they're federally required, correct?
Yes, that we haven't done anything to monkey with the law that,
Yeah, okay, yep.
and so the State Apprenticeship Council and the Employee Security Board and the Occupational Safety and Health Review Board are all federally required.
Yep. So we're going to maintain those.
There is some weird per diem language. We may let's just check those. Because we may just want to modify the per diem language without having to go through a full questionnaire.
Well, I'd just like to know why the Commissioner of Human Resources is setting the per diem. That's,
Well, we may just
But
want to
it's
ask that.
probably just in statute.
right, I understand that, but why is it in statute that the Commissioner of Human Resources is setting the per diem?
I don't know. But that's what we want
check.
for everybody to do.
We'll just double check on
Yeah.
those four. Then we get to the Labor Review Labor Board Review Panel.
I don't even know what that is.
You know,
Is that the labor board? No.
Is that appeals from the Labor Relations Board?
I think so. There has been some controversy around that.
well, then let's look at them.
Oh, it looks like the Board Review Panel is the one that's filling or making nominations for the Labor Review Board,
Oh,
Right, so
it's like the nominating.
Labor Relations Board.
I'd say we need to maintain that one.
Yeah,
You have to maintain that.
That's a weird name for a nominating
That
committee.
is.
right. Yeah,
You want to rename it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just,
Clarify.
yeah, because it sounds like they're reviewing decisions by the
Right.
Labor Relations Board.
Does. sound-
Let's change the name to nominating. Labor Board Nominating Panel. That's what we have for judicial and cannabis and,
what? How did it get that name? That's a weird. Yeah, that's just weird.
yeah. Okay.
All right,
Maybe
so.
there's some history with that.
What do we have for labor right now that we've decided on besides the?
We're just checking on
We're
the,
checking 176
So
through
we don't have anything
179.
listed yet.
So labor review, I mean, do we just want to ask the question why they're named that way is, I mean, there may be some, I don't think we need to send them a full questionnaire.
No, I think we just need to call, who is the new
head of labor board.
labor board person?
Michael,
No, it's Tim Noonan.
Tim Noonan, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think we should just ask them and if there's, then just change it if there's not a reason.
It would make sense that that name should reflect what they actually do if there's a way to do it.
One would think.
All right, so change name.
So 181, I'm assuming we want to maintain that as well then.
And that's another one, I swear we
did.
We did,
testified on
I
it.
know we did.
Specifically.
We did.
Yeah.
Positive we did.
So we should just check it to confirm that because
Yeah.
It was a safety issue where they come down and inspect the ski lifts.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So we got to maintain.
yeah.
What is the per diem? Okay.
So you're checking to see if you actually did review that? Is that what you're checking on?
I guess.
yes, because I swear we have.
Yeah, I'm sure we have. We probably don't need to review the State Labor Relations Board, do we? Or do we?
Oh, I forgot that one.
Well, we haven't had the executive director in, right? We haven't done anything on them.
On the State Labor Relations Board?
Yes.
No, I don't think we have. I'm trying to think of who the new person is, because we heard from her. It's a woman. Oh, Judith, you know.
So why wouldn't we want them to come in?
We could, she's in a new job. She might have
Yeah.
suggestions, yeah.
Vermont Labor, let's see. Yeah, there's a list of members. Try to find out who's the chair.
I know that she's just new.
There's only,
Well, she's the executive director, actually, not the,
oh,
yeah. So I have us scheduled now for the morning of our meeting 3.
okay, so the executive director is Judith Dillon?
Judith Dillon, yeah.
So Tim Noonan's no longer there.
No, he retired.
Oh, okay. All right.
What day in August is our meeting? What day in August? 22? Thank you.
So I have us from 9 to 10:30 doing the 3 A&R things.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I just have been trying to see how many we could get in here. And then we had that one education thing. I put that from 10:30 to 11. And then the Labor Relations Board from 11 to noon.
Okay. So we're on our third meeting, okay.
Yeah,
So we still have time on our third meeting.
all afternoon.
Okay. Natural Resources Board?
All right.
No.
And I think, again, what we do is to maintain not reviewed.
Right.
Education thing.
It was a,
Commission on Public School Employee Health.
You decided not to because it had been amended.
not to.
Then there's no education.
Okay, so I'm taking education, so we have half an hour there.
So do we say no to the Natural Resources Board?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so you decided yes on labor relations. Did you decide on Board of Liquor and Lottery?
Skipped another one, jeez.
So
Well, I think that is relatively new again, right?
Yeah,
When they
2018, they merged.
Yeah.
Well, I worked on the Department of Liquor and Water Task Force that drafted on.
Oh, and then there's this trust.
So I heard something after that, and so maybe it's worth just to pass by or at least fill out the paperwork,
Okay,
just to see where they are.
okay, so I put them on the morning.
Yeah. Then you have the Tri-State Lotto Commission.
I'm sure we had them come in because I remember
Yeah, I think,
like the conversation being because it was a tri-state.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
had to enter into a formal agreement with other states
Yes, I think you're right.
to do that. So I would say maintain.
Yeah.
And Natural Resources Board, and other than some questions about whether there has been a change in the per diems. You decided not to look at them.
Well, we don't know if there was a change there. We can.
No, that's on my
Yeah.
notes to check,
Check.
Yeah,
but that's specific to the per diems, not to the.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Then we go to 205, Search and Rescue Council, and there's just a question about the repeal.
That would be a check.
Let's see.
You say 305?
205.
205, okay, thank you.
If that repeal happened.
Can't believe it repealed.
Geez, I hope nobody got lost in the interim. If we don't have a search and rescue thing anymore.
Don't need them if they don't get lost. Right? Well, you get lost, you need them.
There's no way that that got repealed without, I don't think.
No,
A
no.
year ago, it would have been.
But it may have been replaced with something else.
Wow.
But well,
Well,
it does look like it was repealed,
Does look like it's repealed, yeah.
but let me look into it and see if there was something that replaced it or some other
So
explanation.
this is a state one, but I'm thinking a lot of the ski areas have their own, right?
What do you?
Well, this is, well, the search and rescue was it was local, it happened after that kid died in Middlebury because he broke his leg and then froze.
Yeah.
So it's state police, fire departments, and who takes charge and who is in command. It was a really, really good, they all worked together and came up with a really good one, unlike the people in Uvalde
Yeah, I mean,
who
that's what
didn't know who was
the
in charge.
online statute's saying. It's been repealed.
Yeah, my guess is that it became part of the Department of Public Safety. That it's now
Just to the.
part of an MOU or something.
Internally or something. Internally, something like that.
Yeah, that they have MOUs with local search and rescue people, and that's my guess, but we can check that out.
All right, so then these two nuclear ones, I guess the Texas low level, Jeanette, you believe Texas low level radioactive waste is something, and that's a compact too.
That's a compact with, and it takes care of the stuff that comes out of hospitals, and it isn't for high level like Vermont Yankee. I mean, there's some low level that comes out of,
So do we need to check it or are we going to maintain it?
yeah,
It says as established by the governor. What does that mean?
the per diems,
Oh, sorry, you're right.
yeah.
Thank you. So that's a maintain.
Is that maintained?
And we could look at 210 though, to see,
So we want to check that.
Yeah, their mandate may be over, long gone.
well, they have, it isn't long gone, they just finished the decommissioning, so they've been,
Is the decommissioning totally done? I mean, the fund is spent down and,
they did it under budget. I think it's completely done.
really?
That's what I think so.
So you want to maintain it or?
No, I think we should
Check.
check with them to see.
I'm looking at it right now. Doesn't have a sunset.
So that would be,
Once the decommissioning is done, I don't know that there's,
well, then I think we should have them answer the questionnaire.
Yeah.
Because
I think we should,
either we
yeah.
sunset it or,
Or maybe they have a role as long as there's the storage there. I don't know.
right.
But we should
That'd be
find out.
right.
Sarah Coffey is on that from that area. She's the citizen person. Anyway, let's have them. Okay.
Yeah, there's no sunset, so continue forever. Be one of those things.
So it looks like 211. We're going to have to check that, see if it got repealed. 211 and 212.
Yep.
VSAs.
Well, it looks like we have the afternoon, except for the decommissioning board. If we do half an hour on that, can we have the treasurer come in with
Okay.
all their things in the afternoon?
Sure, that'd be great.
So residential building energy labeling working group has
Yep.
been repealed,
Okay.
effective June 30th, 2021.
What about the one after that? John?
Hold on.
Should be in the next section, 62B.
The whole section's been repealed.
Right.
Okay.
So just a quick question. We don't have a treasurer right now, do we?
Sure we do.
What we do? That's,
Treasurer Pierce,
Replacement gets elected.
not seeking reelection.
Oh, I thought okay, all right, so
gonna
she's still in
resign.
the office. She still is treasurer. And she hasn't stepped away from that because of the
It's the Attorney General who resigned.
right.
That's that one I know.
And even if, I mean, Michael Clausen has been the deputy commissioner deputy treasurer for a long time, so.
Yeah, well, that's what my question was. I was just asking because if she had stepped away, who in her absence would be the individual. I'm happy to have Michael, I know Michael, but
Right.
Yeah. And we can tell them and they'll determine who it is. And it might be different people, there might be different people for different ones. Michael might be all.
So I have a question for Jen.
Yeah?
So Jen, did we make a decision early enough in this process under the recommended status that next meeting, every single one of these under recommended status is going to have some sort of status?
I believe so.
Okay,
That's, excuse me, that's sort of what I understood your goal to be, is to be able to look through it and not wonder, did we make a decision on this one?
right, yeah, thank you, okay.
Oh, it's a
All
very.
right, so did we want to just schedule the treasurer and then skip over the PUC here? Or do we want to schedule the PUC people?
So what are we doing with the P?
I don't know.
Well, the residential
Those two.
building energy and commercial and multi-unit building energy have been repealed. So then we have the review board on retail sales, which I just popped up because I had no idea what it was. It has some powerful members, including the governor, the speaker of the House, the president pro tem of the Senate.
What does it do?
Shall seek to obtain information from interest. It represents the interests of the state and its residents with respect to retail sales. And I assume that's retail sales of energy.
I was gonna say, what does that have to do with the public utility, public service department? Oh, energy.
I think that's one that's worth reviewing.
Yeah. I mean, does it meet? I mean, it'd be hard to get all those people in a room together. I mean, wouldn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
What if they actually
That's
even
the
meet?
thing, get them to
Looks
say.
like it has not been amended since it was added in 1987, so perhaps.
I bet it has not met.
It hasn't met either.
An easy one.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we can do that.
Vermont Telecommunications Authority.
VIPSA. I remember this one.
I can't believe that this hasn't been amended. What's that?
It's on the telecommunications authority is really interesting.
Provides that the fee is in a period of dormancy until further legislative, and that, until that time, the agency administers. Oh, wow, that is interesting.
It was repealed. Oh, no, the director for connectivity, sorry.
So it was repealed?
No,
No.
the director, the successor position was repealed.
Which one are you talking about?
I love this part.
In the notes,
Apparently transferred.
214, the Vermont Telecommunications Authority. It's in a period of dormancy until further legislative action, and until that time, a particular individual is the successor, but then the successor's position was repealed, and its duties apparently transferred to the Public Service Department.
Apparently, but that probably means
Apparently.
not in legislation.
So we need to review this one.
Yeah.
I think so.
Might not be anybody able to answer any questions because he got transferred or she got transferred.
There may be no one that remembers what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have the Vermont Public Power Supply Authority.
No.
Okay. And then the Clean Energy
Is
Development,
that one you do want to review?
yeah,
Yeah,
Clean Energy Development Board.
yeah.
Yeah.
In today's environment, yeah. Community broad,
219 was just created last year. So I would
this is
say,
maintain.
Yeah.
that's quite a per diem though.
Yeah. What do they do?
I have no idea, but
30 VSA.
You're looking at
Meeting.
broadband.
I can't believe how much money is being spent on broadband.
Hundreds and hundreds of millions.
No, my local CUD got a $23.5 million grant
Really? The local one?
Yeah.
Well, it's not just only, it's not, it's
It's
regional.
24 towns
Right,
in southern Vermont. I mean, still, but that's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's federal money, so that's not real money. It's, you're not,
That is.
you're not paying for it. Somebody else
Yes, I am.
is for it, so come on.
To Washington.
I'm on the Putney ARPA. I'm the chair of the Putney ARPA
How's that
Money
going?
Committee.
Is it going well?
Well, we haven't,
Decided anything?
we haven't made any decisions yet or not, but you just,
Of course, it's sitting in interest-bearing accounts, all that money.
I don't know what's happening to it.
Isn't it coming up?
$734,000. And so everybody thinks that that's a ton of money. But
What's the intended use? Is it to expand broadband in your?
no, this is for ARPA in general. This is what went to the towns. Every
Oh,
town got,
okay.
every town got $300 per resident.
Sure. Okay, so it's our money.
It's that money.
I was thinking broadband still.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll get broadband money too.
And I bet for every member of the community, they have a different idea how to spend that $700,000.
They do.
Yeah.
And you can just see it starting to dribble away as people come in with ideas. So we haven't made any decisions at all.
How many members are in your board?
7.
We're gonna be pretty popular.
No, it's going to be very unpopular.
You have a ton of money and you're giving,
It isn't a ton of money. $734,000 if you look
They
at,
have a lot more requests than they have money for.
oh, I see. Okay, so you gotta make the final decision. on how-
no, well, we make recommendations to the select board.
Yeah, okay.
And they'll make the final decision, but you know that they're going to just probably do what we recommend because they're not going to want to take the heat.
I wouldn't want to get in the middle of that one either.
Okay, so we're not doing Vermont community broadband?
No, I don't think we need to.
Okay.
Okay.
Legislative apportionment board, what, maintainer, do we want to have Little come in? I mean,
Well, let's see if we have time to do that because we now have our second meeting with AHS and that'll probably take pretty much all day, won't it?
Yes.
And then we have meeting 3, the morning ANR, Labor Relations Board and Liquor and Lottery, an afternoon Nuclear Advisory,
Right.
Decommissioning, and the treasurer.
for what it's worth, I would move that we just maintain the legislative apportionment board because it's under the Secretary of State's office as well. And we've made the decision to not look at any of those under OPR, didn't we?
Well, but that one's different than, it's not open board.
Well, that's true.
And the question is, I'm gonna just pose it, is like, if, given that there'll be new chairs to both government operations committees who didn't go through the redistricting process, I mean, will anybody even touch it and it'll just continue on?
My guess is that somebody will, and what happened, with the Chittenden County
Senate
breakup,
districts, Yeah.
that was proposed, like 2020 is when we just did the reapportionment, right? 21 and 22. So, or 22. So in 5 years before that, we passed the breakup of the Chittenden County 6-pack. And that was because people were paying attention. And my guess is that somebody will bring up the legislative apportionment board before we get to 2032. But maybe not. I don't know.
So I'm totally confused here. Are you thinking we should have them come in and talk?
What I'm thinking is that we should look at the rest of the things that we feel we need to do and see if we will end up having some time.
So this isn't never really a priority in the scheme of things.
That is my, that's
All right, I'll put a
conclusion.
question mark next.
That,
Great.
and it isn't government operations in the Senate that does it,
I know, you have your own redistricting committee.
right? Yeah.
Well, but they don't exist anymore, do they?
No, but there are people who went through, so most of the people who went through redistricting, except for me and Chris Pearson, will be back.
Right.
There's one
Okay.
right there.
And Andrew,
And Andrew,
who potentially could be in a particular chair,
yeah,
Andrew,
virtually.
Virtually,
well, we're
he
gonna,
was on the,
Okay,
we're
we
making,
can just put a question mark next to it.
we're working at the county level to make sure he's not a repeat.
Helping him to retire.
Thank you
okay.
for that information. So 222, because it's OPR, I don't think we need to,
Right, I think all those are.
I skipped right down to 245.
oh, okay.
I'm just looking to make sure we didn't repeal the State Ethics Commission.
It looks like it was extended to 2023. Statute itself, but we can walk back the legislative history.
Still there in statute.
Well, if it's still there, we haven't updated the statutes to reflect 2022.
Oh, okay.
We funded them, so I'm pretty sure we
I know.
Yeah, so
extended them.
All right.
I'm putting maintain.
Legislative Enforcement Board or someone else?
Pardon?
No, the Ethics Commission.
Ethics Commission,
Right, we're on 243.
43. Okay, yep, thank you.
45?
Yeah, I jumped right to 245.
Hold on, let's figure out what that does.
State Investigative Unit grants.
It's bizarre.
I have no
Sounds
idea.
like they're after money.
I think it's fraud, right?
Oh, I wonder if it's,
Drug bust.
I wonder if it's there's special investigative unit grants that they can apply for. My guess is that this is
Sounds like what it is.
that awards those grants. That's my guess.
Are you there, Alexa?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically the Department of State's attorneys and sheriffs will coordinate efforts to provide access in each region of the state to special investigative units.
Yeah.
And then it lists what those potential crimes are, which go from where a child suffers, to lewd and lascivious conduct with a child, human trafficking, sexual exploitation of a child, sexual assault, sexual abuse.
Well, those are that's, yeah.
What about the grants part, though?
Okay, a special investigative units grant board is created which shall comprise of the Attorney General, Secretary of Administration, the Executive Director of the State Attorneys and Sheriffs, the Commissioner of Public Safety, the Commissioner of Children and Families, blah, blah, blah. It keeps going. Special investigative organization.
My guess is that they make
They
sure
may
that
apply to
everybody
the board
gets
for
money.
grants or
And-
grants covering the costs of salaries of employees. Yeah.
Where does this board get their money?
So that Burlington doesn't get all of the SIU money.
Well, I was going to say, where does this funding come from? That this board,
I'm trying to figure that
Well,
out.
I'm sure it's part of the DPS budget
Probably federal money.
Yeah,
that it comes from.
probably wherever they can find it.
Right, they can accept, receive, and disperse any funds, grants, and services made available from the state, the federal government, any municipality or other unit of local government or private or civic sources.
There you go.
So my guess is that they're there to make sure that all the SIU money doesn't go to Washington County or Bennington County, that it gets distributed.
so we're going to maintain it, is that what I'm hearing you
I
say?
would, yeah.
Okay,
Okay. All right, then we go to 247.
I was going to say 246, I still maintain it, we should repeal it, but I'll used to losing that vote.
I think that we probably should leave that one alone for
Okay.
this year.
All right.
And it does have a sunset.
I'll defer to your judgment.
I think it's 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
supposed to finish its work.
247, you said?
No, I think we maintain that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's it say?
Current use advisory board.
Current, oh, yeah.
We talked about them coming in and, didn't we? Current use advisory board?
We did.
Having them come in?
Yeah, we can do it.
Who's they under? Tax. Wow. Okay, then we get to all the treasurer's ones.
Right, we're just gonna,
And with the changes in VPEC and stuff, some of these may not be, I mean, we don't know, but.
I don't think a lot of these would be impacted by VPIC.
Probably not.
yeah, no, I'm just, because of the changes to VPIC, is there any other of these boards that some of the VPIC changes should be considered?
Yeah.
Well, I think that we did make changes to like the state employees retirement board and the teachers retirement board of trustees.
Yep.
Change their duties slightly because of the change in VPIC.
Well, we just have treasurer scheduled starting at 1:30 on our second day.
So we've scheduled 3 days.
Well, I have meeting 2 AHS and then meeting 3. I went through that. And then meeting 4, what I have is PUC from 9 to 10:30 and then 10:30 to 11 current use. That's what I have so far.
So are we going to ask the treasurer's office to do questionnaires for all of these different committees and commissions?
I see some benefit to that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I know she's probably busy, but
But I think it also will help we can pass all that information on to the oversight committee. The pension oversight committee that we just created, because I think it will
yeah.
help inform them of what. Okay.
I'm on that committee.
Are you wanting all of the ones that say treasurer?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I have to stand that committee up too.
And does that include the joint public pension
Start
oversight
training.
committee that you created?
Right?
The joint public pension oversight committee that you just created?
I don't think we need to,
No, I would take that out.
yeah, no, I wouldn't have them do that because we just created that one, so they don't need to report on that one.
Okay, so then we go down to the Morgan Horse Farm Committee.
I don't know. We give them $1 a year. I don't think we need to drag them in.
Maintained, yeah.
All right,
I think that's what we give them.
It isn't much.
Look,
Just in case they need more money going forward, there's a
I think,
vehicle there.
yeah, yeah.
The UVM Board of Trustees.
let's just skip.
I mean, what do we
Yeah. No, people will be irate if we.
want to change it?
Well, some people want to kick legislators off. Some people want to there was a bill this last year, if you remember, to increase the number of private trustees, which I never understood because they didn't want it. They didn't ask for it, but somebody decided that they should. And so UVM Board of Trustees will always be a bone of contention in the legislature, but I don't think
So we're going to say maintain then?
yeah.
we did, so just to revisit briefly, the Morgan Horse Farm Committee, it looks from the statutes like that was actually repealed.
Oh,
Hey,
So I will verify, but I think we can take it
Okay.
out.
perfect.
Well, let's take credit for it. We're gonna-
Well, the ones that were repealed, but not by us, there is a distinction there because if they've already been repealed, then they've been repealed. But when we suggest that something is repealed here, we're going to have to put it into the legislation, into the statute for next.
Yes, new prospective ones, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't need to include that in new legislation.
no.
Right, it's just clarifying
Yeah.
where we are. Yep.
Yeah.
So all this VITA stuff here. You know, one that I just sort of jumps out, is the Vermont Seed Capital Fund Board of Advisors. What the heck is that?
I think it's seed capital, like money to.
Yeah.
Oh,
something.
I'm thinking seed, sorry.
You mean like for corn?
That would have been, I'm thinking, yeah, sorry, seed money versus, that would have been under ag. Sorry.
Oh, you can get seed money or you can get plant money.
That was kind of deep thinking on my part here, sorry.
That probably won't take long. Not that particular one, but all of the Vita stuff. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we want Vita to come in or answer the questionnaire or what?
I would say just the questionnaire.
Then we can decide if they need to
All right,
come on in.
This would be on our last meeting, Jeanette, or third?
Oh, this would be, if we just have them do the questionnaires, then I won't schedule them.
Okay.
But we can read the questionnaires
Yeah.
if we want any of them to come in.
Yep.
So we have, right now, we have left, I think, the afternoon of our fourth meeting
Oh.
and a fifth meeting. And we need to schedule some time for our discussion on per diems
Database.
and the Secretary of State, right, the archives.
So
Well, we're almost done.
Yeah, we are.
For future edification here, do we have the authorization to meet remotely if somebody wanted to Zoom in or needed to Zoom in?
I don't
Believe so, you're a joint,
We're a joint committee.
actually, you're an other committee because you have non-legislative, pretty legislative. We'd have to check with.
I don't know. We certainly, witnesses can
Yes.
Yeah.
do it remotely.
I'm trying to remember if I checked that when I was
Oh.
sending out the doodle polls. I think we have to meet in person.
The committee members themselves, but could people who are testifying,
Oh, yeah, people testify can,
because we did that, and we did that last year. They testified remotely.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I think your question was
but like say, well, that's how, because like the House Ethics Committee, remember that whole discussion?
yes, but that's a House committee.
Special, right, and that's special authorization.
To meet remotely except for hearings. Right, okay,
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we're down to VSAC?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't know that we need to talk about their board of directors.
It's a quasi-public corporation, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, we sort of have not touched quasi-public corporation.
Yeah, I think
Board of
that-
directors.
Yeah, I wouldn't,
So I'm hearing maintain.
Yep.
The Vermont Hysterical Society?
I don't think we need to,
To touch them?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't,
Okay,
Did you decide to just maintain?
yeah.
they don't seem very controversial or really.
They could be.
Now, the Vermont State Colleges Board of Trustees, now that's, of course, a little different color, isn't it?
But we decided not to trust the UVM trustees, so.
Right,
but I don't know what, I mean, because they're going to have a lot to report, but my guess is they're going to have a lot to report to the education committees next year. And do we really want to,
What are you thinking we need to do with them?
Well, I don't know. What I'm thinking is that they're going through all these configurations of reinventing themselves and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's a valid point that the committees of jurisdiction would be the ones that would have the most oversight in that. So
yeah,
I say maintain.
Yeah, and the ad I heard on the radio today said that it will end, or it will come into being July of '23.
Okay,
So I don't know what more they can
yeah.
sure.
help us with right now.
Okay.
All right.
And to your earlier question about this Vermont Universal Children's Higher Education Savings Account Program Fund Advisory Committee, it looks like, I think it's just erroneously listed with Vermont State Colleges. It looks like it is really VSAC that runs it. So So you'd wonder why it was with the Vermont State Colleges. I think
Yeah.
it's just an error, and
So we should just get
move it
that.
up to the PSAC.
Yeah, I don't think we need,
Yeah, I don't,
so then we have the Vermont Veterans Board of Trustees.
and I think that there needs to be some looking at that, but I think it's a committees of jurisdiction and probably health and welfare.
What would you like to do with that one?
I would like to leave it alone because I think it's,
They've had a bit of, well, they've had a lot of issues for years.
yep.
Big,
Is it too much for?
big Board of Trustees, 21 members.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's an odd thing too, because it's federal and it's state and it's quasi-public and
What is the statute date on that, John?
It was last amended in 2013.
Powers and duties is the following section, and that was last amended in 2018.
Oh, well, somebody looked at it recently, kind of.
I don't know how major the changes were.
You want to just let it go?
I think it's,
It's best addressed in the committee of jurisdiction, I think, not.
I think so too, and that would be a combination of probably health and welfare and government operations, because it's military and health.
What are the powers?
Okay.
That one, I just think if we try to do a surface perusal, that might not be sufficient. And I don't know that we get the time to do the deep dive.
Well, that's actually the last one,
They have a lot of responsibilities.
One more page.
but they're,
Well,
oh, sorry.
they're just a couple legislative ones, right?
Right.
Yep.
We agreed nothing in judicial, right?
No,
Basically, we're just going to maintain.
we have no security advisory committee apparently in the Capitol.
There was a question about that.
Yeah, we had a question about that. Let's see.
So scheduled for repeal 6/20, 6/30/21.
I think that one was extended. You know,
Okay.
Statute, it extends to 2023. So let me just make a note to update.
So
Yes,
we're going to maintain that because it's obviously just been looked at currently.
yeah, we're still dealing with how to secure our capital.
And there's a lot of difference of opinion, isn't
Yeah.
there?
I don't think we want to get
No.
in that mess.
And the Vermont Child Poverty Council, it says that it terminates in 18.
So again, there's this one has been transformed into the Advisory Council on Child Poverty and Strengthening Families. So I think there may need to just be some updates to, which I'm not sure is in statute. So let me look at
Okay.
where that ended up and how to reference it.
And the Parentage Study Committee, I know that's over because we did the statutes in judiciary.
Yes.
The parentage.
So is it concerned that it may still be hanging out there, but it should just be,
It should just.
Formally
yeah.
repealed.
The report was due in 2017 and they gave the report and we passed the
Yeah.
new
No, we had
legislation.
a
so-
couple of boards and commissions that were like that
Yeah.
last year.
Repeal.
Yeah. Repeal. Okay. So that gets us through 4 meetings, right?
That's, if my time blocks are right.
Well, depending on the questionnaires, you can adjust them if you need to, right?
Yeah, and then we.
And we did request just questionnaires from one group, right?
Vita.
Vita.
And then, so then that leaves, it also leaves the afternoon of the fourth meeting, which we could either look at per diems or have the Secretary of State's the archives come in. One of the two of them. And then kind of do pulling together on the 5th meeting
A wrap up of all.
Right.
Fifth of a draft bill.
and whatever is still hanging out that we didn't,
That we didn't finish.
yeah.
Okay, draft bill. Per diems.
Do you want to do per diems on the afternoon of the
Yeah,
4th
that would be
meeting?
easier. I
Okay.
don't, we need to think about what we want to do about this database. Because
Yeah.
I think we know what we will hear from the Secretary of State's
Yep.
office. I don't
Yep.
think that has changed.
No, they'll need more money,
Yeah.
another position.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's do per diems on the afternoon of the 4th meeting.
Does our bill require the Secretary of State to do this or?
I believe it does, actually. I think it specifically names them as the administration or whatever.
That's unfortunate.
Well, we change it.
Date out.
Yeah, I think at the very least, we're going to have to do that. And
Well, we have to come up with some solution. I mean,
yeah,
Because even though we've gone through all this, we're still reduced to a spreadsheet to administer this in some ways. It's a little more sophisticated than it was, but
well, at a minimum, we should put language in a bill that requires the maintenance of a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
yeah,
We can make recommendations, right? I mean,
well, we can put in the bill.
yeah, we can make recommendations that A, B, and C that have
But
to.
right now, the thing is the Secretary of State's supposed to create a database, but the issue has been the cost.
and part of it is what is included in the database and how searchable we want that database to be, because that's part of what, I mean, if we want it to be completely searchable by the public out there so they can go in and see what boards and commissions and where there are vacancies and stuff, that's where I think we get into big costs. Maintaining a database of the boards and commissions is not as expensive. So we should have that conversation with them and
Well,
with the
that,
governor's office
I
also.
say the administration should, because I'm not sure just how sophisticated what they have is versus like this here, Jen, do I assume that this information in this spreadsheet lives on somebody in Ledge Council's desktop, probably?
I think it lives in our document management system, so it's
Right.
accessible to,
But that's my, but it's not accessible to the public and not very,
nor would we want people to rely on the accuracy of.
exactly.
Right. Yeah, well, I think we can have the conversation with the governor's office about what they may have updated the way they keep their boards and commissions files and how they do that.
Yeah, maybe there's less of a requirement on the Secretary of State's office.
I mean, I think we should have that conversation. It's going to be,
Yeah.
We should look over our notes because I think we have talked to the administration
yeah,
in the past on this issue.
yeah, we have. Do we know who's going to replace Tori?
No,
Okay.
I think she copied someone in HR on her last email telling us that she was no longer in her state employee position.
Okay, so they'll have to,
So she won't be back until after the November election. Won't be available. She may return after.
yeah, I don't know how that works with,
Well, but then it'll be too late
yeah,
unless,
She may return in a different role too.
Is that your redistricting? I'm sorry is that what that
yeah,
is?
yep. Yeah, we have all sorts of maps.
So are we done for the day here or?
I don't know. It seems like I don't want to waste the time if doing something that we don't need to do, but I don't want us to give up this time if we think we need it. So what does everybody think?
I think we ought to have lunch and then come back and adjourn.
And figure out where we are. I'm starving, so I'm happy with that.
Okay.
You know, I have to keep up my weight here.
You're fighting trim, that's how it's
Fighting what?
trim. When you're a boxer, you keep up your, they call it your fighting trim.
Well, actually, I could have lost a little bit of weight yesterday.
But I do want to chat with
Oh,
the Emperor of Berry here for sure.
When is that guy coming?
He's right here. He's the Emperor of Berry.
I got the ring
Thank
in
you.
the pocket here somewhere, Bri.
What time do you want to come back?
I don't know what time it is.
11:50.
11